All right, we're starting a new live session. Let's see whether that works right now. We're going to go back to our trading session from last time and then go beyond that, because there's so many things interesting that are happening right now in the markets, of course, especially after the last Friday, the Black Friday. I think that was really, really crazy. And it's happening basically right now. So I'm going to keep going. Let me see whether everything is working fine. We had some problems on YouTube, I think, and I'm going to fix that. Other than that, we're going to revise the positions that we have and then see more what's going on, whether everything is working fine. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, there was some kind of the problem with the previous video, but only on YouTube. So I think that's going to be fine. And it seems like right now we're live and good, and we'll be able to revise everything that we have. So it's been really a crazy week. Seems like everything is fine. Now it's working. Let me check on Twitter as well, and then we can go back to the markets and see what's happening right now. The cool stuff is that we're still looking for points distribution for lighter, so we're going to see how much we got in points. But basically, last Friday was a Black Friday when for every perp dex trader, so people get liquidated with massive portfolios. We're going to revise those as well, seeing some of the really good traders. For example, the white whale that we were observing for the past couple of weeks, he got almost entirely liquidated. Bong guy, known for his bong long on I think 10x leverage or something like that, got entirely liquidated. So really crazy stuff happening. We're going to have a look at that and then talk about it some more. But for now, let's revise, first of all, the premise of everything. As you remember, I think it's working fine everywhere. The premise is that we were trying to get to $10,000. We went from 1,000 to 3,000, then got to carry it out back to 1,000 and then some more down. But we farmed some points along the way, which should be fine and cover everything we had so far. At least that's the hope. But probably we're going to restart the challenge right now with the fresh wallet. So as a summary, because that's what we're doing first, let's have a look at what we have right now when it comes to the wallets. Basically, we had a bunch of directionally long on a bunch of Dino coins like Doge, LTC, ETC, BCH, ADA. That would be fine. But of course, what happened was the Friday, and you had those crazy weeks, especially on the like Cardano, all the other stuff as well. Here you see Cardano, but really, if you go to anything like LTC or some other coin, you have those crazy weeks down. And if you had any kind of leverage, even like safe leverage of 2x, you basically got entirely liquidated. So there's a lot of speculation of what really went wrong, whether that was some of the Oracle problems with Binance, for example. Of course, there was a lot of leverage in the system, so some funds might also blow up. We're going to see all the damage here done probably in the next weeks or months, and see how much of the how much of that will spread out further, whether that's the end of whether we're going to see those coins trading down really. So we're going to see that. For now, let's revise what happened with our trading. We had a bunch of those positions opened. Also the smaller coins like Easy, PopCat, basically with the idea that we want to farm points with them because those are low open interest, low volume coins. So I was talking about that last time, that usually what I'm looking at is those low volume, low open interest coins, because those are under traded, which means that in principle they should give you more points from those different perps. Now, so how the portfolio looks like, we have basically $130, $32 on lighter, and if you go to Aster, you already can see the allocation. almost 10 asters, which is basically like $15-20. Not much, but we are basically, this is what we got here, the PNL. So we're going to go out of the aster. I'm probably going to do that off stream and basically transfer this to lighter, and maybe go with the lighter fully, maybe adding a little bit to either Pacifica or extended or variational. This is one of those exchanges that I farm right now. So extended, Pacifica, variational, really recommend those. Those are the three that I'm looking at right now. Of course, there are other ones here are also great, but I can't do everything, at least for now, so I'm focusing on those. Now, going back to lighter, we're going to probably restart the challenge. We're going to also see how many points we got so far. This is basically from 2 weeks ago, right? Because the last week there was no points. Lighter went to the public mainnet phase. That was pretty cool. If you remember, they went to the public mainnet phase, which also means that they're working on refining the entire premise for points, and they're going to publish that publicly, which is also cool because you're going to see what will get rewarded. Of course, the concern here is that if it's public, then there will be probably pro farmers that will trying to take care of that and try to farm it on, like, industrial scale. But probably on the other hand, lighter will try to catch them doing that. So if you have 1, 2, or 3 wallets, you should be fine and trading normally, just looking at different strategies. Then this is normally entirely fine, and it would be just good to know what they're looking at. So yeah, the point distribution should be tomorrow or the day after, and we're going to see how much we got for that, and whether we get this account to many more points. Probably, I think, looking at the lighter prices, which got to like 100 OTC, I think they might be a little bit lower right now, but that should basically cover, if you get something like 5 points again, that should basically cover all the losses that we did along the way, and that should be fine. So for now, we're probably in between because the market looks still a little bit shaky. People are looking for what the stocks will do, and also what will Trump say regarding China, because a lot of that, the one of the triggers for the market sellout and the market panic here was that there's going to be Chinese some kind of new tariffs on China, and because China basically controls a lot of rare earth metals, they're going to also ban the export, or at least limit that heavily. And so one of the concerns was that will influence, for example, how much more expensive the electronics will get because of those rare metals and so on. So that basically turned out to be a nothing burger. We're going to see the full thing probably going into this week, but so far we have stopped at this place. And I think if we look at some of the stocks, then basically they re-entered the previous levels of what they were trading for. I think they have, for example, stocks on, if you look at things like Tesla here, then you can basically see that you had this market sellout on Friday, and then they pretty much recovered here. Same for like Nvidia, Meta, Amazon, right? Not entirely super here. This is not the best chart probably, but it's working fine on Aster. Now you can see that there's so from the perspective of stocks, like nothing really happened. A lot of tragic stories on Twitter, right? So I think I mentioned White Whale. We can go with. So he mentioned that. Yeah, he mentioned that he got carried away. Let me check. I think. Let me check the first news. Yeah, he basically lost $62 million, which is crazy. We're looking at his, and he has a very good summary of that. Like, you shouldn't trade having a fixed goal because his goal was $100 million P&L. He was very close. I think he missed like $2 million from that. So 98% there. He really wanted to make it all on chain and to say that he made it. This is what basically made him at loss in the end because he didn't really read the market well, right? His unrealized P&L set at 98 out of 100. Counting profits from other platforms, that was surpassing the goal, but because he was stubborn having that on Hyperliquid, he got basically liquidated in the end. Which is, of course, this is a good reminder to trade outside of it. Well, have goals, but be able to be nimble and change those. Other example that I wanted, well, there are a couple of examples of people that really lose a lot, but the good thing is that there's like crypto Twitter in these cases for most part is really a support group, and a lot of people are just writing, you know, like if you need any help, then talk with me and so on. So I think this is really good from that part. There's a lot of compassion. Of course, like there's always 1% of people that are hating, but most of the people are compassionate, especially if they lost a lot previously. So that's definitely good. Bonga is definitely another example of people that lost a lot because basically anyone that had any kind of leverage over 2x basically got his position stopped in certain extent because of those crazy weeks. So you could only assume that he was liquidated as well. Let me find that somewhere, I guess. He also had pretty good tweet on liquidation. It was around, I guess, also 10th of October. So I'm looking for that to see whether I can find it. Black Friday, okay. Yeah, I think this is the post that I wanted to show you. So basically he got liquidated for over $30 million at peak at least. Right now it was like above $50 million before the liquidation started, and that was 100% of the following perp positions. He got wiped out on all of the perps. So Bonk, Fartcoin, Popcat, Pnat, Cat, Apex mostly got, you know, as you can see, he mostly was longing various meme coins with size. Especially Bonk, he was having this position open for over a year right now, I think, or even 2 years. Maybe he started, like, I think he has started actually holding that position, which is really crazy. I think he started that position like end of 2023, right? Because he was already known in 2024 and he was holding that position. So I think he started by the end of 2023, which also means like, I think this is one of the things that I really have problems grasping, like how you can keep an open position on leverage for 2 years, which is also pretty crazy to do, but he was successful doing that, of course, until the this kind of Black Friday event came along. So a lot of things crashed. There was no way to get out. Also, this shows that if you're in spot, you're mostly fine. I mean, still, a lot of cryptocurrencies got hit. If you see the charts, especially on the right, they are all very similar, apart from, except for a couple of outliners like BNB. There are a couple of others like that. But if you see, this chart is super similar. So you have this a little bit downtrend and then the fall of the cliff, and then a small rebound here for a couple of coins. Mostly that was working like that. Of course, you have stable coins, which has a very stable graph, but other than that, this is pretty much the case here. So what we're looking right now, especially if you look at some of the people that were good at printing money in the past 24 hours, or actually in the past 30 days, this is the money printer category on CoinMarketMan, you can see that most of them are still bearish or super bearish. So slightly bearish on BTC, ETH, Sol, but then getting bearish when it comes to smaller coins like Doge, Pump, Aster, which is really counter side of people that are giga wrecked. This is another category of people that lost at least $1 million. All of them are actually super bullish, and it seems like this is like a huge thing here, because you have those two groups, one that lost a lot and they are right now longing quite a lot, and the other one that made a lot of money but are still shorting. And we have basically a fight here between those two groups of giga wrecked versus people in money. But I think it shows also the part of the market that shows that most of those people are they don't know much better than you and me what's going to happen. We can go both directions. A lot of depends on the macro. A lot of stuff depends on whether we're going to, like, is it the end of the bull market? Are we going to see more of the action? On the other hand, of course, we have this famous Degen Pink, which is becoming the main character on crypto Twitter. Don't know, but actually had this amazing prediction here. Let me find that. For the 10th of October. This is the most famous thing, with 3.4 million views, especially post factum right now, because people were asking basically 2 days before beat on 10th of October. He basically predicted that we're going to have some kind of a crash and you are good to beat here. And then he's predicting that if you buy then you should sell 5th of November. He mentioned that it's not 11th of May, it's 5th of November, so it should be next month, but mostly saying don't know. Some of his predictions were right, some of his predictions were wrong, but this kind of the prediction that was super right. He predicted correctly that we're going to have some kind of a crash, this is what's happening. Kyle has a funny tweet. He basically said that Max Payne is basically having equities doing almost nothing and going back to the previous levels, which was what we have if you look at all those prices of like Tesla and Amazon and what we have seen, and crypto actually being down and going even more down. So there's a whole subject of actually people trying to go from crypto to stocks because they had enough of crypto volatility with no of the upside, because there are of course daily runners, weekly runners, but most of the time people are not really having so much upside as with some of the stocks, which are seeing, you can do 3x, 4x on stocks and do not have this crazy volatility. Plus you're having this story of investing, I don't know, in rare earth metals, or metals of robotics, AI and stuff like that. So you have a great backstory as well, rather than having like a cool meme or whatever you prefer to invest in. So having said that, this is where we are in the market. I'm going to also revise some of the other tweets that are making impact. We don't have much to trade right now, so probably going to be more on the degen side. Either we win big or lose it all. I don't think like with $100 portfolio that doesn't make any more sense. So let me close this Ktoshi position. We're going to see everything that we have. So $131 here. I'm going to just summarize what we have. 101 on lighter, and then we're going to see the impact that we had on the account. Here we have what was it, 17? Yep, 17 Master. So we basically lost how much did we lose? We lose something like, again, 200 from going to from 242. We lost something like 226, I think. 226 on Aster. Got, or maybe 10 Aster for farming. This is what we got. And then on lighter, we are down 250 almost. So we down minus 249. Right. Yeah, pretty crazy. So we lose most of the portfolio. We're going to restart probably the challenge with a fresh wallet, but on the positive side, we have a bunch of points, and we're going to see how much points we get after this week. So to finish it off, we want to go with some of the crazy bets, but also I wanted to maximize the points. And the idea here is still, if you haven't seen, look at the calculator, because not only you have the calculator for different points, and you can see, for example, if you were to find different valuations, how many points you have, how many airdrop is going to take. You can modify everything here pretty easily to see how that impacts 1 point for each of the exchange. I have taken total points from different sources, from official sources whenever that was possible, or different computations of guys on social media. So of course, not everything has to be to the point, and of course everything can change because those are points, not the actual token, but it shows you how much of a potential there is in actually forming some of those exchanges. And for some of those exchanges like Lighter and recently also Extended, you can buy points OTC. There are OTC markets that are that have those points. We can see for Lighter OTC, there's the group. If you go to Lighter OTC, you can see how that's going. Mainnet is live. So yeah, I think this was the, where is there a tweet here? Maybe if I go with Twitter profile of the owner. Yeah, he started for the Extended OTC, had some sales already. Yeah. Let me check. Yeah, it seems like the points were a little bit down on the market downturn. At least that was actually October the 2nd, so already a couple of days ago. The points were going for $60 per point, which with what we have would give us basically back the losses that we incurred. So we have currently 5 points. That would be with 60 points, with $60 per point, 5 points. That's $300. We're going to see how much we get, but probably that will get us to like $1,000 with this airdrop. So right now, what I want to do on the market is basically being more on the long side, but at the same time, maybe also, yeah, a lot of people are actually, depending, probably we're going to do a funny thing and just look at the markets that have really low open interest and go long whenever there's like too many longs, too many shorts. Like in this case, more people are shorting than longing. So we're going to go with also super small positions. So to have a bunch of the positions here available. And for example, here we're going all isolated. 5x leverage. Here you have positive funding, so we're going to go with super small positions here. Another one with a lot of shorts. So we're going to do that. Have a couple of positions open. This way we basically are trying to concentrate the market in a way, but also this will be pretty isolated. This will be pretty delta neutral to some extent. We're going to have some open and shorts open and some longs open, but at the same time, well, they're isolated, so this is not entirely the best scenario. We're going with the smallest assets here, trying to, there's a lot of interesting stuff because you can see that for some of those funding rate is already at 0.012. This is pretty much the most standard one. And I'm putting small positions for like using like $10 of margin here for each of those. So those are the positions that I want to hold for longer. And hopefully, oh, did I buy the dollar? I wanted to sell it. Sorry, I'm going to close that one. Just looking at the funding. Yep. This is the dollar. And here I'm going to long. Yeah, we can also have a look at the funding actually and see what's the... Oh, Easy is right now the most shorted coin, so we can definitely go on and be on the other side. Well, this week was pretty crazy, as you can see. Definitely can do with the buy long, because this is one of the smallest assets as well. We actually were longing that before, but got liquidated somewhere here, as you can see. For a small position, this is one of those positions that were small, but we're trying to do something here. And then finally we can have like $60, so we can open some kind of a like huge leverage position to make money back, say with Pengu or some of the other coins. So I'm looking at Pengu. There, of course, a fart coin, which got a lot of exposure recently. But there's always the risk that you get this kind of the week back. But this is the risk that, you know, is probably worth taking here. So I think Pengu is one of the coins that lost a lot. We can have a look at what lost the most in the last 7 days from the top 100. Pump, yeah, okay. Pump Fun is pretty high, actually. Let me have a look at Pump Fun. This is also another coin that's yeah, let maybe go with, okay, it's isolated. I'm going to go with Pump Fun. This is probably the liquidation price is below the previous price action, and also, well, unless we got this week down, we should be fine. So this is something that happy to hold. If we get liquidated on those, then probably it means also that we get a lot of points, and that's the premise of this video right now. So we want to get all that used towards the points, and ideally we want to get at least 2 points with that. So to take it all, to have a look at it, we're looking at we got basically a loss of $250 on Lighter, so we want to take that back. Probably if we get something like 5-6 points, then we basically back to the levels we had previously. If we got even more points, then we should cover also the losses from Aster. Basically, the farming of Aster wasn't really that profitable, but that was to be expected with so many traders already there. So we're going to go for the next venue. So from the probably next video, next streaming session, apart from farming Lighter, because we're going to trade on Lighter until basically the airdrop. That's the premise here, and we're probably going to explore either extended. Here I'm going to show you extended or Pacifica or variational or more of them, but we probably get most of the capital on Lighter and do something then with some of those exchanges. But maybe I just start with Lighter, have positions there, and then once we get some proper profit along the way, then put some of those profits on stream to use that to farm other exchanges. That probably would be easier than going from the start with 2 exchanges like we did with Lighter and Aster. Or also, I think like Lighter is probably the best farm still, and the reason for that is that it's definitely happening. The team is great, a lot of eyes on that, so there's little risk that they, for example, won't launch or the launch will be disappointing. Of course, those kind of risks always exist. This is crypto. You can always lose all your capital, so you should be doing your research first. But Lighter is looking really good. But, you know, anything can happen, always, like was the case on Friday. So you have to assume that you can lose everything. And that was the case here. So having said that, we have the positions. I'm just going to note what we're doing. So mostly pump long plus a basket of low volume coins with short long, depending on whether on funding rates. Counter trading the sentiment. Yeah, so this is one of the strategies we can use. Of course, ideally, maybe what I can show you here is what you can do, this is of course just some example of what we can do here, but we can, if you go to loris.tools, this is one of the cool tools that you can have, and you can have deselect all and say you want to go with extended, lighter, hyperliquid. And here what you will have is that you're going to have a couple of assets that are over those exchanges, but especially you will have this kind of funding opportunities, funding arbitrage, where it shows you where it's profitable to buy and sell. So in this case, if you go and buy at extended, sell a hyperliquid, you will basically earning a lot of spread arbitrage from funding rates. Of course, those can change quickly. So this is something you have to monitor either with a bot or yourself. If you buy a screen, you can do that. But there are people who are doing that manually. So this is definitely doable if you sit by the screen. You just have to check each funding round, what's the funding on the exchanges. So for example, I think I saw in the morning that, for example, Easy was on lighter and somewhere else, and there was a trading opportunity there. Let me check whether I can find it. Yeah, there's still some kind of opportunity here. If you buy it on lighter and sell it on hyperliquid, this should still be profitable. So this is one of the cool tools that you can have a look at. What else do we have? Yeah, if you look at some of the altcoins, then they are looking pretty good. I'm a huge fan of Facey. If you didn't know that, then this is the coin that basically holding pretty strongly. Of course, they had an all-time high just a couple of days ago, and they lost like 50% of the value, but already 20% up in the past couple of days. This is the coin that does true verification. So they have a bot on Twitter, in other places, and you can ask whether that's true, and they come up with facts. So they have proper AI working, and it's a great product. So this is a proper product, one of the coolest coins when it comes to virtuals ecosystem. I'm holding, of course, a bunch, so keep that in mind, but definitely have a look and do your research before jumping in. Also, what's happening right now with the market is everything around BNB, and there's entire BNB ecosystem rush with all the meme coins, especially that BNB is holding really, really strong. You had this dip as well, but it wasn't that big of a dip, first of all, and the second of all, it's already higher. And even though after you got all-time high after the dip, so you got just yesterday, or actually this morning, I guess, you get already all-time high for BNB after this crash from Friday. So it shows the strength of the BNB, and probably also means that, well, CZ, Binance team wants to really do wants people to really do well with the ecosystem. They want to attract as many people as possible, especially with competitors coming from hyperliquid, lighter, and so on. Solana for memes, and hyperliquid, lighter when it comes to perp dexes. So they want to do their best in order to attract users. And so far, price going up is one of the best attractors. They're doing that well. It seems like BNB is on the run. I don't know if those are good prices. I do not hold I think I hold like minimal BNB because I buy some memes on BNB. But other than that, I don't hold much BNB. But so I don't know whether that's a good buy. I'm not buying at these prices. Maybe I do something on Perps, but those are pretty substantial prices. I think for a short period of time, BNB was third. It's right now fourth when it comes to the size of cryptocurrencies. It went past XRP and Solana, and it went past Tether over the weekend as well. So it's pretty crazy. BNB is number 3 when it comes to those to all the coins in crypto. But it's also understandable, and the ecosystem is definitely growing with all the meme coins, Aster being the top perp dex on Binance, as we saw. So I think there's a lot of cool stuff happening with BNB, and definitely this is not the last word from CZ or from the Binance team. So there's those kind of opportunities are happening. If you were fast enough and strong enough when it comes to the will to buy, then you had a lot of opportunities over the weekend. If you have, of course, free cash available, especially with some of those coins going 20% or 30% after the initial dip. So for example, I think Solana went to like 177 or even down. The crazy story I think was that Atom went almost to zero. Literally it won't be available on CoinGecko, but probably you can see some wicks on I don't know if on Lighter, but on Binance you had it. Yeah, you don't have it here, but literally Atom went to 001. Maybe if I search like that. Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but that's definitely possible. Someone definitely won here. So on Binance, I think Atom went to 0.001 from like $4, and then it rebounded to 2.9. So you could buy Atom with like a couple of dollars and basically win big right away, because that was like 1000x in a moment. So if you have those beats sitting down, so it also shows that if you have beats like relatively low for times like that, then you can really win a lot. I don't know if that story is true here, but definitely someone did that and made pretty good money along the way. This was one of the ways to win big when it comes to this liquidation. Other than that, well, if you were not having any kind of, perp dex exposure, do not use leverage, then probably you're fine. Of course, tokens went down like 20-30%, but 20-30% is not getting your entire net worth liquidated, so I would call it still fine. Of course, the biggest question here is whether that's the end of the bull market, and that's a pretty unknown right now. Everyone knows we're in a bubble when it comes to equities, but still the bubble can keep on growing. And when it comes to AI, and there's this circle of Nvidia collaborating with Meta or OpenAI, people buying chips from Intel and so on. There are so many things going on that actually this can last for a little bit longer. And also, nobody wants to have the music stop in the end, especially nobody in traditional finance. So this will probably go as long as possible, which can mean anything from next week to next year to next decade, though next decade is highly unlikely. Myself, I'm mostly positioning, like many people are right now, trying to have stable coins for like weekly runners, and then a lot of farming on different perp dexes, and then from time to time buy, like altcoins, like in my case, Facey, or maybe some memes on Binance or stuff like that. Because other than that, it's a really, really hard market, especially for holders, because the volatility is so large, and it's much easier to just hold stable coins, wait for the opportunities, enter, wait for the good price, sell, and then back to farming or looking for new opportunities. And this is what we're trying to do here. So this is the positions here. We're going to see how it goes. If the market rebounds, then basically we will have this pump, raise our portfolio. If it will go down, then this will be perfect moment to reset the challenge, fresh $1,000, and try to go from there with new positions. And of course, a stack of lighter points. That's the goal here. So crazy couple of past days. Definitely going to revisit everything here. As a reminder, I'm doing mostly those streams on Mondays and Fridays, usually just at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. Right now, I did the last stream, I guess, like 10 days ago. So I think so that was like Friday, but not the last one, but the one before that. So we're going in this space. So far, pretty exciting. We're going to see what will happen by the end of the year. I think like this Degen Pink words definitely mean something. We can have a look at that. November will be crucial. I don't know if we're going to go into bear market then, or we just go up. So the situation is really good for farmers. If you're farming, especially delta neutral positions across those exchanges, this is fine. And then if you're buying on spot, then just wait for the good prices, whatever good is for you. I guess like Solana around this price for me is pretty good. I'm longing a little bit of Solana, but on the other hand, a lot can happen, especially with the macro situation. So still, very hard market. I wouldn't say it's easy. Definitely, it was much easier a year ago when we had this crazy run. With all the memes going up, or AI coins and so on, it was much easier to read weekly runners that were going up for like at least a couple of days or weeks. Right now, it's much harder, which also might mean that we are in the ending stages of the bull market, at least for crypto, because it's very hard to say what will happen with stocks. They are super high already when it comes to valuations, but they were high already a couple of months ago. Past year they were high and still going up. So a lot can happen, especially that the dollar is losing its value because it's being printed and so on. So no macro expert here, but we're going to see what will happen. And this challenge will go on. If you're looking for the point calculator, then definitely check out the cryptoexchange.sh. This is where you find the points calculator, and you can calculate it for different exchanges and have a group of tips for how to use like limit orders, maximize trading volume, trade niche assets, and so on in order to maximize the points. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel and see you in the next video. We're going to end this